What's going on, everyone? It's Gadgets Boy. Welcome to another video, and in this one we're going to be talking about the Samsung Galaxy Fold, and this is the second version in terms of the updated one with all the safety features and all the extra bits that they've done to it to make it a lot more robust than it was initially after all the issues and everything that happened initially on the first release. So we're going to talk through everything in terms of specification first, and then I'll give you some rundown about things that I liked about it and a couple of things that I didn't like about it. I'm not going to bore you with a long review about every single specs and stuff, but I will tell you just my experiences and things that I really liked about it. And I've even got two in my hand. And the reason why I've got two in my hands is the fact that this one was replaced with this one thanks to Samsung's Premier Services, which means they can help you out 24 hours a day if you have any issues with your devices. And I'll tell you what issues I had with this one before it was replaced with this one. If there's anything, it's a testament to Samsung's commitment to make sure that everyone that buys this phone are completely happy with what they've got and look after them throughout the lifespan of having one of these. And these are quite expensive. It's just under £2,000, which is a lot of money for a smartphone. But anyway, let's run through the specifications, the key specifications, and then we can talk through everything else. So the Samsung Galaxy Fold runs on Android 9.9 out of the box with One UI. In terms of processor, you get Snapdragon 855, and what I really like about this is wherever you get it in the world, you are getting Snapdragon 855, no Exynos version, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know. In terms of RAM, you got 12 gig of RAM in there, which is more than enough that you need for a Pro device. You got 512 gigabytes of internal storage, which you can't expand, but 512 is a lot, I've found, including me transferring photos onto this, like raw files from my DSLR, and even drone shots that I shoot out and about. I still put them on here, which again is just pretty smooth experience. The external display here is 4.6 inch diagonally, and when you fold it out, you get a QXGA Plus display at 7.3 inches as well, which is pretty big. In fact, it's almost the same size as the iPad mini. So in a nutshell, you're carrying a phone in your pocket and a tablet at the same time. And I'd prefer to have called this a foldable tablet and not a foldable phone. On the back, you have a triple camera setup. So you have a 12 megapixel wide angle at f1.5, but it's variable, so you can go up to f2.4. Then you got 12 megapixel telephoto lens at f2.4. Then you got a 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens camera at f2.2. On the front, when it's closed, you got 10 megapixel selfie camera at f2.2. And when you open it up, you have a 10 megapixel selfie camera at f2.2 and an 8 megapixel depth sensing camera at f1.9, which is pretty cool for those bokeh, those selfie portrait shots. On the side, in terms of buttons, you got volume rocker, you got power button, and you got that fingerprint sensor as well, which doubles up as your Bixby button, which again is cool. It means it's not a dedicated one, which you probably would never use. This device itself is available in Space Silver, Cosmo Black, and in terms of battery, you get 4,380 milliamp hour battery, fast charge as well, so supercharge. And you can also do that power share, so reverse power share. So if you have the Galaxy Bud, you can just place it on there and wirelessly charge your Galaxy Bud wirelessly using the Galaxy Fold. In terms of weight, this is quite hefty, so it's not for everyone. Again, it's quite heavy, and this actually weighs more than iPhone Pro 11 Max if you have held one of those before. So this comes in at 9.48 ounces, which is quite hefty, but you get used to the size. I quite like bulky, hefty phones anyway, so that's fine with me, but not for everyone. So what about my experience with it? Let's start with this front display. It's very small. I think it's just there just in case you want to quickly do stuff on the go, so you don't have to extend your display. So if I'm on a busy London tube on a Friday night or whenever, it means I don't have to extend my display to still reply to messages or scroll through Instagram if I really need to use my phone. I really like it, but typing on that small screen is no go. It's still possible, but it's very inconvenient and it's not comfortable. You make a lot of errors, make a lot of mistakes when typing and replying to people. So you're better off extending it and actually typing your messages as much as you want. One thing about the keyboard as well is you can change the arrangement of it, so you can have it split on either side. I think Apple did that before as well with the iPad. I don't know if they still do it. Or you can make it so it's one and centered, so you can sort of type on it. You can move it around as well as you wish. So again, that flexibility is there. So if you want to use it one-handed, you can still sort of use it one-handed, which I often do sometimes. People think I'm crazy when I do it, but I think it's still possible because I got quite large hands. On the front, you have that bit cut out in the corner, and the problem with that is it's often quite intrusive or obstructive rather. So when you're gaming, for example, on Call of Duty, you kind of have to think about how you're going to place your hands. So in my case, I usually have that at the top corner where all the information in the top left corner is not that important to me, so I tend to have it there. And if I'm watching a movie as well, sometimes that affects my experience. So again, I hope the next version, they sort of address that situation there. In terms of speaker placement as well, the both, you got one on either side, so there's one on the left and right side. So again, if you're watching movies or you're gaming, you have to think about that in terms of your hands blocking it. So what I tend to do is turn it upside down and then use it that way when I'm watching movies. Sometimes gaming, I just use my headphones anyway, so that's not a problem for me. But again, that speaker placement can be a bit of an issue there sometimes. I know that everyone's thinking about the creases as well. The crease is very visible, so depending on what angle you're watching or using it at, it's visible, so you'll be able to see the crease in the phone and on the display, the foldable display. But what I would say to you is that over time, you tend to forget that it's there, especially if you have dark display related things, or like, for example, on this display here, you can't really see it when you're using it day to day. You forget that it's there. But again, it's not a big issue, but it is there. And that's something that they'll probably iron out, so to speak, over time. In terms of durability, although they've made some changes to it, like extending display and making sure that you're not peeling off the screen again, and you got the Samsung services as well. One thing is this has no IP dust and resistant rating. So in fact, when you open up the packaging and stuff, there's a little note on there that tells you a lot more about that. But don't be fooled by it though, because I've accidentally used it when it's raining before, or quickly checked a message and everything, and it still works completely fine. But I am not condoning it. So if you get one of these and you do that in the rain and it damages it, don't blame me. Don't point fingers at me. As mentioned before, there's no memory card expansion slot, but I believe 512 gigabytes of storage, 512 is a lot. I store a lot on this. In fact, I worry that if I lose this, I'm going to lose a whole lot of content. But I still use mine to store everything I need to store on the go. One thing I really like about what Samsung's done with the display as well is app continuity. So basically that means if you are on Instagram on the front display, for example, and then you extend it, you can carry on using Instagram as it is on a larger display, and it works seamlessly. The only qualms with that is it doesn't work with every application. So for example, if you're using Lightroom mobile, for example, it works fine on the front display, but when you open it up, it tells you that it's no longer compatible. So you then have to restart the application and then use it on the larger display. So hopefully Samsung will work with app developers to make sure that this is now compatible with other devices as well. I mean, other applications as well. I mean, what would this review be without I mention multitasking as well? Multitasking is amazing on this. So you can run 3 applications at the same time, and then you can also drag some applications on top of those 3 applications if you really need to do so. And what happens is it then floats on the display, so you can move it around and still, for example, watch a mini screen on the corner with a video. You can use maps at the same time, use Twitter, use email, whatever you want to do, what combination you want to do, you can do that at the same time on there, which is pretty cool. I think it's pretty neat. And a lot of the major applications works with it, so you don't have to worry about if Instagram works on it, or Gmail or Twitter or whatever. It just works seamlessly. So earlier on, I mentioned about my device getting swapped. So what I've noticed that over time, I've used that one longer than I have this one, which is the newer one with the case on it, as you can see there. What I've noticed over time is there's a little play on the hinge. So when you do this, you can feel the squeak on the hinge as well. So it kind of moves. So it kind of makes me wonder what will happen by the end of, say, a 24 months contract on EE when you buy this. So that has a little bit of play on it, which I didn't like at all. And then what I also noticed is that the clasp as well, when you do that, is less sharper than on the newer one. It's stiffer. You can feel it when it extends. So you can see that's a part of what happens over time when you have this device. That folding mechanism there kind of has a bit of play in it over time. And what I also notice is as well, like the extends that it opens. So when it's like this, although you wouldn't have it like this, but it tells you a little bit more about the durability. So when you have it like there, that's as far as it opens on the older one. And then on the newer one, opens a bit wider. So you can see that one's getting weaker and weaker over time, which is the older one. So again, that's part of the reasons why it got exchanged. And just have to look after it. Although it comes with this Kevlar kind of carbon fiber casing that you can put on it, which keeps it nice and secure. It comes in the box. What you still have to worry about is this hinge is metal or some sort of metallic material, and I've got a tiny dent in mine already from just knocking it around in my bag or in my pocket. On camera quality, you can expect what you'd get on the Samsung Galaxy S10. Really good camera quality for me so far. I really love it. I really enjoy using it for taking photos. In fact, a lot of the pictures on my Instagram page were taken on this device. And what you find though is framing photos using that front display can be a bit awkward. In fact, it's even more awkward using that large display trying to take pictures of it. So I probably wouldn't recommend doing that. One thing you have to worry about as well is aspect ratio. So if you're taking photos for Instagram stories, for example, what will happen is you're better off using that bit there to do it. Because what you find is once you start adding text on Instagram stories and stuff, and then you watch it back on another device, it's just out of shape. It's not, you miss some detail there. For example, the writing might have gone off screen completely because of the aspect ratio. But other than that, camera is really good for both stills and videos as well. I can rely on it if I forget my DSLR at home. I can completely rely on this to record video. Audio is good as well. Audio capture is good as well. I can definitely vouch for that. But other than that, there's not much to say about the camera quality. In fact, the night mode on this, I really like. Samsung's night mode is one of my favorite at the moment because it keeps things still natural looking without overblowing the sky, for example, or trying to make night day. But that's just my personal preference. So you might prefer, say, Huawei's night mode, which makes things look like a day time when it's nighttime. Battery life is really excellent as well. So that 4,380 milliamp hour battery really lends itself well with Snapdragon 855. So it's very optimized. It works really well. This lasts me the whole day and a little bit left the next day. So I have no complaints there at all. And you've also got fast charge, so you can charge this up really quickly with no effort at all. Or you can place it on wireless charging overnight. If you have wireless charging plate, you can place it there as well, which I really like. But other than that, one thing that people probably won't like is the size of it in terms of the weight. The durability as well is something that you have to constantly worry about when using that and about for a phone that costs under £2,000. But other than that, I love it. It's something that I really like. It gets me excited again for smartphone and the future of smartphones. I haven't been excited about the device in a very long time. So this is really good. And I find that it solves a problem. And that's the fact that 1 minute I can use a small display, next minute I can expand it. And I've got a big old display to watch movies, game, read paper, read the news, whatever I want to do my emails. In fact, do emails and calendar side by side. That kind of experience, I think, is very, very good. And that large display lends itself well for that. In fact, I'm looking forward to the Samsung Unpacked event coming up tomorrow. Or the 11th. What day is it today, in fact? Yes, tomorrow. So that will be a really good experience to see what they've got to launch with the S20 and the Galaxy Z Flip as well. So we're looking forward to that. So stay tuned for all the coverage from that as well. But in the meantime, if this is your first time on the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification as well. And let me know what you think in the comments below as well. I'm on GadgetsBoy on Twitter. I'm at GadgetsBoy on Twitter, rather, if you want to have a conversation on there as well. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.